10.04 and earlier was supported for 3 years. With several versions supported for 5 years, LTS release 12.04 and 14.04 and 16.04 are supported for 5 years, while Ubuntu 18.04 LTS is supported for 10 years. The support period for non-LTS release in 9 months, period to 13.04 is 18 months. For the significant updates for Linux Ubuntu, the big update for Ubuntu is Ubuntu 18.04 LTS, which released on 26 April 2018. This version uses 4.15 of Linux kernel, so Chronicle will support it with update until April 2023. Ubuntu is now focused on being a powerful and stable Linux desktop that brings together the best Linux software out there. Okay, next.
Okay. Nampak? Nampak?
Nampak.
Okay, so I will be explaining about the memory management. Okay, so what is the function of memory management? The function is to manage memory hierarchy of random access memory and secondary devices. Memory is usually more larger than physical memory. Memory management uses the concept of virtual memory. Virtual memory can be larger than physical memory. Memory management includes allocation and the allocation of memory. So, what does memory management system provide? Number one, it provides large address space. Number two, memory protection. Number three, memory mapping. Number four, physical memory allocation for processes. And number five, shared virtual memory. This is some of the important terminology and concept in memory management, but I'm afraid I need to skip a few of them because afraid the presentation will be so long. The logical address is an address generated by the CPU, which also referred to as virtual address. Physical address is address seen by the memory unit. Memory management unit, MMU, is the hardware, computer hardware that maps logical address to physical address. So then we have memory protection, virtual memory, and memory compaction. Memory compaction is one of the important terms. It is a technique of relocating all occupied areas of the memory to one end. Now, without further ado, let's straight compare between Windows 10 and Linux Ubuntu memory management. In terms of data structure, Windows 10 use 3 data structure where each node is known as virtual address descriptor (VAD). VAD marks each node as free, committed, or reserved, while Linux Ubuntu uses linked list. It maintains a list of VM underscore area underscore struct. The list is searched whenever a page is to be found. Means that whenever we want to search for a file, it will go to VM underscore area underscore struct. In terms of distribution of process address space, on 32-bit x86 system can access up to 4 gig of physical memory. Windows allow each process to have its own 4 gig logical address space by using paging. While Linux Ubuntu, 3 gigs is 3 gigabyte of RAM is reserved for user mode, while 1 gigabyte of RAM is for the kernel mode. For paging, Windows 10 uses demand paging with no prop paging. It also use 3-level paging, while in Linux Ubuntu, it use cluster demand paging with 2-level of paging. For the address structure, in Windows 10, it is divided into four parts, which is the global directory, middle directory, page table, and offset. While in Linux Ubuntu, it is divided into 2 parts, page number and page offset. For the page replacement algorithm, Windows 10 use first in, first out, FIFO. Page fault rate may increase when we increase number of frames. It also have lower performance compared to Linux Ubuntu. While in Linux Ubuntu, they use this recently used algorithm, LRU. There are 2 implementation, counters and step. Counters is when page with smallest time value is replaced, while stack LRU is always at the bottom of the stack. For the use of operating system in terms of normal usage and server usage, for normal usage, it is better to use Windows 10. Why? Because it is specifically built for better user experience, as it has a graphical user interface built in. It also most of the mainstream software is available on Windows system. Windows also is a one-time upgrade, means that when a user install Windows into their computer, they will receive lifetime support from Microsoft. And for server usage, it is better to use Linux Ubuntu. Why? Because it is open source. Open source that means that everyone can download it for free and install it. It is much more efficient in terms of memory usage because it does not have graphical user interface. Means that it uses less RAM compared in Windows. It also fit to a range of system, low end or high end. It also requires lower hardware requirement compared to Windows 10. Next is process management. Mimpi?
Next.
Tak keluar.
Tu kena turn on.
Mesin
Dah.
mic mungkin. Sekejap. Management. For Windows 10, the Windows operating system is the only version of Windows that might officially support a newer CPU microarchitectures. Every process contains one or more threads, and the Windows 10 thread is the basic executable unit. It's scheduled on the basis of the user factors, stability of the resources, the CPU and physical memory, purity, fairness, and so on. Windows 10 has long supported multiprocessor system, so threads can be allocated to separate processor within a computer. Here's the example of thread state of Windows 10. Next.
Dah.
Dah habis tak Windows?
Next.
Dia lambat.
Tak, dia memang slow.
Kena aku bagi aku share.
Dah. Cuba habis. Cuba habis.
Nampak
Okay, yang ni. Sekejap. Keluar lagi. What slide? This can be ready by running, wait, transition, terminate, initialize of scheduling. Windows is primitive, so it will it was allow interrupt, stop processing, around time will follow the content time. Each Windows 10 process includes resources such as the following components. One, more threads, whicher address distinct from other address spaces. Note that shared memory map file share physical memory, but the sharing process will probably use different whicher addresses to access the map file. One or more code segments, including code in DDL, one or more data segments containing global variables, environment string with environment variable information such as the current search path, the process heap, resources such as open-handed and other heaps. Next. Next. Okay. Round robin. Windows uses a round robin technique with a multi-level feedback queue for priority scheduling ever since NT. Though in Vista, there were some smart heuristic improvement to ensure that some processes such as the disk defragmenter are at a lower priority in order to not interfere with foreground processes. To the best of my knowledge, Windows 7 and 8 uses the same scheduler as Vista, though there may have been minor improvements. Multi-level feedback queue algorithm is used on Windows 10. Here is the example of the scenario. This scenario showing how the process running under the round-robin schedule policies. Round-robin with quantum time 20 minutes, we have process 1 with the burst time of 55 minutes, process 2 with the burst time of 17 minutes, process 3 with the burst time of 68 minutes, and process with the burst time of 24 minutes. Next. For Linux Ubuntu, process in the Linux Ubuntu operating system is a unique word with unique which progresses in a system begin. Thus, this process will go through about a small series such as the same internal representation for processes and threads. A thread is a new process it to sharing the same address space as its parent, and thread is created by the clone system called when a distinction is to make. Fork is to create a new process with its own entirely with new process context. Clone is to create a new process with its own identity, but that is only allowed to share the data structures of its parent. Process status in Ubuntu are execution, suspend, stop, zombie, and terminate. For first in, first out is the simplest CPU scheduling algorithm of first served scheduling, FCFS, in Ubuntu implements. Next, example of scenario. FCFS is very simple, just like a FIFO queue. Normally, the customer is waiting in line to buy movie ticket at the cinema or to see the doctor. Unfortunately, the FCFS can yield longer average wait times for each people. Some particularly if the first process to get there takes a long time. For example, consider the following three processes. Here is the example of one part that's showing the schedule. Process 1, the process is 24. Process 2, the process is 3. Process 3 is the process is 3. Next. Round robin will if it take a running time out called quantum time. The round robin scheduling is designed especially for time sharing system. A quantum time slice is defined for each process. A context switch will be at the tail of the ready queue. Ubuntu are normally user tasks, schedule FIFO. Tasks that running with this policy will never be preempted. It is a real-time policy. Scheduled round robin, this is another real-time policy, but the task will leave the CPU if there is another real-time task in the run queue. Next. Explain the operating effect with various CPU type. For Intel i7 is one of the latest processor by Intel and used for personal computer. The effect of the operating system can be shown from the kernel. All the programs on the computer and get the instruction from the CPU. Mean that the effect of the operating system is converting the instruction from the hardware to software and display it to the user. Intel Xeon is an CPU, and most of its own version CPU are using multi-core technologies and able to do multi-processing in a high speed, so that OS effect to this CPU can be shown from graphical user interface because the CPU processor also can use as a gaming CPU, and the speed to running a process because the higher the number of cores, the faster the process can be finished. For AMD, the effect of the operating system to AMD processor can be shown through the graphics performance and synchronization of the process running. For SPRC, processor can be supported by Linux operating system. Both the kernel and some user space packages include SPRC specific optimization. the effect of the operating system will form the kernel. Next. 3. Compare and recommend which operating system utilize its processor more efficient in terms of normal users. Recommend the normal users of operating system in Windows 10, and the processor could be Intel i7, AMD processor, or also Intel Xeon processor. This is because the Windows developed by Microsoft for personal desktop device or computer, and most of the operating system developed by Microsoft C is currently running on Windows operating system only. Windows operating system also comes with graphical user interface, which allow a user to view all files, videos, and so on. In contrast, Linux operating system is not suitable for normal users because need to type access instruction, but Windows operating system is not needed. For server users, we would recommend Linux operating system, and the processor could be SPRC processor because as most of the web pages over the internet are generated from Linux server. Also used in computer, mobile devices, gaming consoles, digital storage devices, book readers, camera, have Linux running. In contrast, we recommend operating system is server user because it has a large user base and become a target for developer of viruses and malware. Meanwhile, Linux is highly secure due to its efficiency in finding bugs and fixing the bugs. Next.
Sorry. Terkeluar tadi. Dengar tak?
Dengar?
Dengar.
Sorry. Okay, for security management in Windows 10, user and password authentication, there is one-way function, which is a term that denotes a one-way mathematical transformation of data. Data that is being transformed can only be converted through encryption one way and cannot be reversed. So the user must log in into the system by using password, and there will be password verifier on domain members when a domain user logs on to that domain member. And then there is the log on dialog box, which is limited to 127 characters. Says Windows 10 implement the Kerberos version 5 authentication protocol, and only user who is allowed to log in into the system will be authorized and can log in into the system. Okay, next. For Linux Ubuntu, user and password authentication. Linux Ubuntu operating system uses the passwd command to change the user password. And then there is a normal user, group administrator, and also the password command can be used to update user authentication password stored in shadow file. Next, securing kernel from unauthorized access. There is Linux security modules, which is LSM, and there is API that implements hooks at all essential security points inside the kernel, and it will allow for the plugging into the kernel of various security models, which typically access control frameworks. Next. Handling hacking in Windows 10, there are a few software that we can use. First, Windows Firewall. Windows Firewall acts like a filter for data entering or leaving a network or computer. And then firewalls are commonly used to help prevent unauthorized access to both company and home networks. Windows Defender Online runs outside of Windows to remove rootkits and other threats that hide from the Windows operating system. With Windows 10, Windows Defender Offline is built into the operating system and can run from Windows Security. And then for Windows Security, it will scan malware, viruses, and security threats, and it also uses real-time protection to scan everything that we download and also run in our PC. So usually it will automatic to update for the Windows security. Next. Linux Ubuntu, there is some of software that we can also use. First is ClamAV. It is used to detect trojans, viruses, malware, and other malicious threats. And it can also scan within archives and compress files and also protect against archive bombs. Next is Rootkit Hunter. Rootkit Hunter is a Unix-based tool that will also scan for rootkits, backdoors, and possible local exploit. And then it will compare SHA1 hashes of important files with known good ones in online databases, searching for default directories, wrong permissions, hidden files, suspicious strings in kernel modules, and special tests for Linux and FreeBSD. And lastly, first for Linux, it is an antivirus, which is a secure and effective program for a number of Linux distributions. It can identify and eradicates viruses that includes worms, trojans in our Linux computer. And it will detect and block malware with on access, on demand, and scheduled scanning. That's all.
Okay, file management. So how Linux, Ubuntu, and Windows 10 handle their file management? Windows 10 use different data drivers such as C, D, and E to store files and folder, while Linux Ubuntu organize files in a hierarchical file system. Windows use backslashes for directory, while Linux Ubuntu use forward slashes for their directory. In Windows, printer, hard drive, and CD-ROM are considered as devices. In Linux Ubuntu, peripheral like printer, hard drive, and CD-ROMs are considered as files. Windows does not allow you to modify or delete the file. If the file is open, it will display an error message, while Linux Ubuntu allow the user to delete or modify the file and that in use or open without displaying an error message. Oh, okay. How Linux Ubuntu and Windows handle the naming convention for each file. In Windows 10, they do not assume the case sensitivity, while Linux Ubuntu, file names are case sensitivity. Windows 10 use a period separate the base file name from the extension in the name of directory or file, while in Linux Ubuntu, file name should be unique inside its directory. Example, /home/test directory. Windows 10 use a backslashes as required as part of volume name for universal naming convention names. And in Linux Ubuntu, user can use upper and lowercase letter, numbers, dot, and dot symbol and underscore symbol. The file name that begin with dot are known as hidden file. Windows 10 and Linux Ubuntu handles system-related files. So in Windows 10, it use FAT. The number in FAT12, FAT16, FAT32 stand for the number of bits used to enumerate the file system log. While in Linux Ubuntu, it uses ext. There is ext2, ext3, and ext4, which are called a native Linux file system. Next is REFS. REFS file system is architecture absolutely differ from other Windows file system, and it's mainly organized in form of the B+-3. While in Linux Ubuntu, it uses Visor FS. It's known as Linux alternative file system for storing a massive number of files. That's all. Thank you.
Habis dah?
Habis.
Okay, in terms of security, which OS is better?
Windows.
Why?
Why? Mal? Why?
Why? Regular update.
You go need update. If not update, what happen?
Now update, virus can enter easily.
Okay. In terms of file management,
File management, I think Linux Ubuntu.
Linux Ubuntu. Kenapa?
Yes. Because we can easily modify or delete file without while it's open, and The directory is also easy.
User friendly?
Is but is in user friendly way is Windows 10 is more better because you can save data in different driver.
Report dah submit dah kan?
Dah,
Dalam? Okay.
dah.
Alright.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Waalaikumsalam. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.